And good morning. How are you doing, everybody? This is the Space Junkie Takeover on the What About It channel. This is Sobby, and I got David here with me. Hi, David. How are you doing?
Hello, Sabi. Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's good to be back. And let me correct you because it's the Y plus, not the original Y channel.
Thank you for the correction. Yeah, the show couldn't go on without it. Yes. How are you doing, everybody? I hope you had a great week, and I hope you all digested what happened last Friday. That was a gorgeous one. That was an interesting one. That was a weird one. There was so many things in the same time, I think, and
Mhm.
in this show, we are going to sacrifice it to actually talk only about the flight 7 and what went wrong, what went right, what was the pluses and the minuses about this launch, and I think we did some good research because we are going to release on our channel in Hungarian our own sort of summary, and we wanted to take our time and wait for all the available information to come in, because I think so many media outlets, newspapers, websites, and YouTube channels just jumped their guns and sort of went on this catastrophe tourism. I think there is this such
As
term in
always.
English as well. Yeah. So they started with these crazy headlines that with the air traffic and all that stuff. So I think we did our research and we are trying to lay down to you whatever we know. But I think let's start with the beautiful launch, because it was quite an amazing launch. It
Mhm.
went pretty well, didn't it?
Yeah, actually, yeah, this ascent phase, maybe we can call it as a routine already because no problem was interrupting the launch. So all the 33 engines have started, and yeah, they have run all the first phase of the ascending. So yeah, that's why I can I or from my opinion we can consider it as a routine already.
Mhm. The vehicle looked good. I mean, that was the second time we've seen a Block 2 Starship second stage fully fueled,
Yeah.
because they did a wet dress rehearsal previously, and that was the first time, and they did a full tanking test. So I think more, I think we already agreed on it. More we look at it, more beautiful this Block 2
That's right.
look.
Yeah. And yeah, mentioning the tanking phase, it was quite good to see that the
Mhm.
implementations or the improvements of the tank farm have worked because as you all know, the ship the Block 2 ship is 25% plus in capacity of fuel. However, the tanking process was 5 minutes less or
Mm.
shorter. So more fuel, less time. So that means that the recondensers and all the different subsystems of the tank farm have worked pretty well, and
Mhm.
it's a good news for the future.
Do we know the exact number? Was it like 40 minutes or 45? 40, 40.
45. It was
Was it 45?
about 45. So the ship fuel has been started about t minus 35, around 35ish,
Okay.
and then the booster come in.
I'm just calculating that one Falcon 9 requires 35, 37,
38,
38
30,
minutes.
38
Yeah.
minutes. Yes.
So I mean, and they are not in the same ballpark at all.
Actually, the Starship is 9 times bigger as the Falcon 9.
Gee. Yeah.
And just compared to the T minus, or not the T minus, but the 38 minutes compared to the 45 minutes
Yep.
with the
Yep.
nine times bigger thing, then it's a bit faster.
Yep, yep. And I think with the Block 1 version, we had like Olympic size swimming pool amount of fuel and oxidizer went into the tanks, but now it's much more. So, yeah. Okay, so we had the lift of 33 healthy engines. That's kind of now regular sight.
Yeah.
They don't really lose any engines on the ascent phase, and I think yeah we had the roll program, and what was I saying? Oh yes, that they kept the Starship in this sort of vertical
Hmm. Yeah.
orientation for quite long. The previous ones, it was already tilting quite a lot. But here, no, you can see the shores. Maybe it's the cameras as well. But as it goes higher and higher, and we're gonna see the plume as the max Q happens, and it leaves this white, not smoke, but condensation in the atmosphere. That's kind of gives us a reference point that where this whole starship is, the full stack is relative to the ground, and we can see it's still going upwards more than sideways.
Yeah, so that means, or that shows that the SpaceX has even more confidence in the ascent phase, because at the
Hmm.
first flights they wanted to get as far as possible the ship from the land and from the launch site itself. But
Yep.
now on the flight 7, we could see the vertical phase was much more longer as previously.
Hmm.
And yeah, and you can see now I wouldn't say it's tilting, but I don't know the exact exact word for this. Pitching, yeah,
Pitching, pitching,
pitching, yeah,
pitching. Hmm.
pitching downrange, as they all say, all the time say in the live commentary.
Yeah,
So
we haven't seen it enough.
yeah, yeah, we could see it
um,
all day, so it's
yeah, so
beautiful.
so this is what I meant. Yeah, this is what I meant. If you look down here, you see the plume is still relatively underneath,
Hmm.
not sort of out of the view.
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. I'm wrong because as it's pitching, it's more looking down towards the ground. So obviously it's not over the ground, but it's not too far out in this
Hmm.
in the sea. So yeah, and
Okay, we have
obvious.
analyzed it quite long, so maybe we can go on.
Yep. This thing is not flapping anymore, because I think it left the denser atmosphere. But there was a lot of worries after the post flight because a lot of people were worried that what the heck was that, but it proved to be kind of nothing. I mean nothing significant.
Hmm.
Okay, and then stage up followed.
Yeah, as always, three of the remaining, or all the all but three engines have stopped, and the boost backburn has have started, and out of the 10, only 9 engines have restarted because
Yeah,
of
that's right.
yeah, as far as we know, the flight computer has stopped, or hasn't reignited the 10th Raptor, just because for safety reasons, I guess.
We kind of assumed here that that's done, gone, rip.
Yeah. and
Um,
and it's a good lesson for the future for everybody, I think. But
Absolutely.
yeah, and but however, out of the 10 engines, only 9 have started. Actually, the confirmation, or the yeah, the confirmation for the tower catch was added, or it was confirmed by the flight director, and it was a good news.
Hmm.
And now
Um,
we can see the
one,
all of the
one,
engines have stopped.
yep. One more thing we forgot that the stage, yep, the hot staging ring went off.
Mhm.
Um, we forgot to mention one thing that the stage step happened a little bit sooner
Ah,
and
yes.
with less velocity than
Hmm.
the previous flights. Maybe they were too a bit more conservative, careful, or you think this is the flight profile we need to get used to?
Oh yeah, I think so, that there are two alternatives of this solution, let's say, or way of the ascending, because as I mentioned, the ship has much more capacity, and that's because I think so that it needed less help. So let's say less help from the booster, because it can go with much more longer way with engine on. I mean the
Um,
ship. So that's why it wasn't needed to take it so high and on a so high velocity. But that's only my opinion. I can be wrong.
mhm. I
Or the
mean,
other way, that the Raptor, the thrust of the Raptors weren't so big. or the ship was a bit more heavier, and that's why the booster couldn't take it so high on a so
Mhm.
high distance. So there are less there are more alternatives, but yeah, we are just speculating as always.
Of course, of course. Um, yeah, I think I would go with the less, more conservative
Mhm.
approach for the first flight because the ship doesn't have the extra fuel to compensate the booster doing less, but
Yeah.
for taking more payload or heavier payload, hopefully, and being more capable in space. So I think we will go back to that point at some point. Yeah. Booster is falling. We were getting ready. Everybody's excited.
And
Uh,
just for sorry for stopping you or interrupting you, but that cloud isn't actually a cloud. It's the
yep.
condensation from the
Yep.
ascending phase actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
booster
Yeah.
just returning at the right at the right trajectory,
Yep.
descending trajectory as the ascending trajectory it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite funny.
Yep. As you can see,
And you can see there the
smoke like.
condensation plums, right?
Yep. It's pretty cool, actually. Yeah. And then the surprise came because, I mean, okay, so this bit is especially, this condensation is
Yeah.
just amazing. And then all the 13 engines were coming up. They were all healthy, for our
Yes,
biggest surprise.
the dance raptor resurrected as well.
Yeah, yeah, like a griffin resurrected from its ashes.
Phoenix,
Phoenix, sorry, Phoenix. Yeah, Griffin is a different one. And yeah, I mean, the world was blown away again. And
Yeah.
I don't know, guys, how anybody who was watching it felt or watched the actual telemetry of the second stage, but I think most of the big channels I rewatched, everybody was busy with another booster landing, spectacular, how great is a new era was born. They did it again, so they are unstoppable, and how no flames around the what's the quick disconnect?
Hmm.
Uh, what's that connector? I think
Adapter.
adapter. Thank you. So we were all happy that it's back and it looks gorgeous, and
And
then
it wasn't on fire
and, there,
as
and at
previously.
the moment, yeah, just one,
And the moment came, right?
yeah, and one engine just went out in the ship, and it started its own demise.
Yeah, but just think about it that out of the
Mm.
um, two returning of the boosters, two of them were successful. So yeah, just think about it, because of course we don't count the flight 6 as a returning because it was aborted. So it wasn't uh, it wasn't a failure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's the system, I think. So because it's not just the rocket with its legs, it's the system. I would count it because the system didn't work. So they lost the booster. But because it was only the second attempt, we can't be that tough on SpaceX because
Yeah, but it wasn't a catch attempt actually. It was aborted already prematurely. So it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
like that the booster tried to come back and it failed because it destroyed the tower or so,
of course
or,
not.
or just aborted the descending.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't an abort in my opinion on flight 6. But now on the flight 7, it was a totally 100%
Mhm.
successful, and it was much more smoother as previously. So maybe they have already bit recalculated the trajectory, or the flight computer was calculated different, and that's why it seemed to be a bit more smooth as previously. And yeah,
Mhm.
as I mentioned, it wasn't on fire, but just a bit more later. But yeah, it wasn't actually a catastrophic event, but just the saving of the booster, and when the adapter was letting out the remaining fuel and oxidizer that was on fire at the very end.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, so the demise of the ship has begun just after the catching of the booster. And yeah, we didn't notice either at the
Let me
first sight.
just before we go on,
Okay.
we got some what about it shots of the landing, and that's quite pretty. Um, Sean Doherty was out there amongst
It
many other photographers, and I really like this particular video
was a
because
bit slap
uh,
on the left arm.
yeah, and there's a closer one as well
Yeah.
following, well, in a second or two. It's just beautiful. My favorite is this one. I mean,
It's beautiful.
it's unreal. Yeah, it's unreal. It's beautiful. Yes, so everybody was amazed by SpaceX is really breaking its own record, while the ship, started living its own life independently. Said, I had enough of you people, and I will go my way. So there is a great video from the space engineer, and it's quite a long video. So I'm gonna play that, and he kind of did an animation that what might have happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it's quite correct because, of course, I think so that the space engineer couldn't see in the telemetry, so it's just an just
Guess. It's a guess.
guess, yeah, or theory, but it seems to quite correct. So as we mentioned about T plus 739, the first engine was out. Then it was followed more with more Raptors, unfortunately. So at the very end, only one Raptor vacuum remained, but that was only the telemetry. So of course we know that the last one was already gone as well, but the telemetry wasn't showed because until that everything was lost. So the
Yep.
connection or the communication with the ship itself was totally lost, and that's why it didn't show that all of the Raptor engines were out. And now the spinning has begun, unfortunately, and it was actually the third time when either a full stack or just a ship was started to spinning, because maybe you remembered on the very famous first flight, which when the entire full stack has started to spinning at the
Don't get me
very
wrong. That's a cool stress test. I
yeah.
mean, the fact that the Starship could withstand the IFT-1, could
Yes.
withstand that sort of forces, and it didn't break up just by the sheer forces, that was already quite a quite a proof that this is a tough design.
That's true.
Here, just a bit of an explanation. So when one engine goes out, I guess, so the outer engines, they cannot gimbal, so they cannot steer the
Yes.
vehicle. Only the inner engines are capable of doing that. So now we lost one.
Hmm.
The other two probably trying to compensate, but as soon as the second one is out and one vacuum is out, then all of a sudden the ship gets really one-sided. The
Hmm.
truss is coming from an unevenly. So it
Yeah.
starts obviously. It puts the ship on a spin, and
Hmm.
it just, we don't know how long the vacuum engine remained on, but probably just.
Actually, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it helped the vehicle for having a larger scale of spin. So yeah, it was
Mm.
completely uncontrolled, and
Yeah.
there is no surprise that it ended up as it ended up.
Of course. Yeah. And just to finish quickly, what I have
Hmm.
began. So the flight one was the first spinning test. Let's say then the flight three was the second one when the ship was spinning because of the propellant transfer. And now the of course at the flight seven was the third time.
Yep.
And yeah, the unfortunately the ship was destroyed prematurely because of the even bigger problems.
Yes.
But yeah.
Um.
Hmm?
Yes. So we have quite a few videos. I only have VLC player, so it's not the nicest way of playing these. but I will show you some of these.
Hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, that's from an aircraft. Looks spectacular. I think this is from the ground. So, Turks and Caicos Islands. Anybody who was spending their holiday there, working there, living there, or either spend their leisure time on a cruise ship near this area were extremely lucky because this is like I don't know. It looks similar to when a spacecraft is deorbited, but obviously on a much larger scale.
Hmm.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, and that, of course, it's not a very beautiful example, but when the when the Columbia
Hmm.
returned at the last time, that was the same visual thing, I guess. So when it blew up, hundreds of thousands smaller or bigger pieces were just burning up at the atmosphere. So that
Hmm.
looked like kind of the same.
Hmm. Indeed.
And
Yep.
now the colorful things are because of the sunlight and because of the different heights, and
Hmm.
so actually it was still quite on a high trajectory. So about what have you calculated, Sabir? About 80 or
I did
100
not calculate.
kilometers?
There are much smarter people than I am. I do not calculate anything. So the space engineer, he was speculating that it broke up at around 86 kilometers. I don't know where that number is coming from, but I would say probably between 18 and 100 kilometers.
Mhm.
Um,
So
so
what's for sure? The telemetry was lost on 146
yep,
kilometers.
yep, yep, indeed. Yeah, so there was a lot of speculation about what kind of danger it imposed to the flight restricted area. Because I think I have this video I have recorded. This is about less than 2 minutes long. So this is in our time. It's worth seeing that the corridor went something like this. Sorry for that,
Hmm.
but something like this, maybe
Yes.
similar. Yeah. So like this and like this. And so this is the restricted area. So you will see as all of a sudden, as the time comes, no planes within this area. And actually the NOTAM and the TFR and the air traffic control was completely in control of the situation. You can see some planes going around here, so it's not like this whole area stretching so far away is closed. It's only a certain area. Mainly, I think they would mainly were focusing in this area ish
Yeah.
when the problem occurred, and and you will see that now when all the problem has gone, then this flight path was reopened again, and all the planes are actually entering it. um, and there was a lots of speculations that the planes had to divert, and it's a mega big problem, and they were endangered, and blah blah blah. And I really liked Ellie in Space's video because she invited a pilot. She's a co-pilot on a Dreamliner on a Boeing 7. Oopsie, on a Boeing 787. I'm sorry. And let me just close this. And so she actually explains that how this thing work, and I think she was actually bang on for the money. She explained it so nicely that how the procedure is, that how all the permissions are required from SpaceX towards the FAA, and how the FAA expected. So they have a contingency plan just
Hmm.
in case it cannot be like something happens and they just like, oh god, we lost control of the vehicle. They have a plan for every scenario.
Yeah.
And Yeah.
Sorry.
No, no, no. Go on, go on, go on.
Just I wanted to add that now we could see how important the role of the FAA is actually, because
Yep.
out of the or without the FAA, without any regulations, we, of course, I don't want to speculate, but much bigger problem could have been coming out from this situation. But of course, nobody was harmed and nothing was harmed, so no people and no property was harmed. So that's the most important thing. And yeah, that's why it's very important that the FAA holds not only the SpaceX hand, but every flying objects on the on let's say US side or US airspace.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we know that it's not anymore the U.S. airspace because it's above Cuba and other islands, but because of it's an U.S. yeah, it's a United States rocket, let's say. Then that's because the FAA is required to watch carefully
Mm-hmm.
on this trajectory and this test flight. And of course, after briefly after the flight was over, then the mishap investigation was added, or yeah, the FAA asked or permitted the SpaceX guys to start the mitigate the
Before we go to the mishap, let's just
okay.
take.
Yeah,
I want to add. Mhm.
just to finish one sentence, that it's very important
Okay.
that every flying objects has to be or has to
Must
have,
have.
sorry, or must have the regulatory approval all the time.
Yes. Very important. Very important. So when when SpaceX lost telemetry, they actually contacted immediate. So they have a hotline, and as far as we know, they have a hotline to FAA. Hi FAA, this is SpaceX. We have some issues. We lost telemetry. Okay, so FAA triggered this contingency plan. They let the air traffic controllers know, all the who let all the aircraft carriers around this area who operates any aircraft. Um, they let them know that the rocket, something happened with this spaceship, and some things are going on. They don't know anything. They don't know any specifics. So the standard issue is that they leave the corridor open, and because of the NOTAM, the notice to air missions,
Right.
notice was already shared with all the aircraft carriers, and for pilots is a must to read this before your flight. If it has any NOTAM issued, you need to know about it. If you
Hmm.
do that, you violate
Yeah,
the
that's
law.
it's their responsibility all the time.
Exactly. So because it was already previously shared, all the carriers must know about it, that at this certain time, in this corridor, things can happen. So you need to either leave this alone, so you go around it, or you don't go towards that area, or you take extra fuel with you and you are prepared to hang on, because it's a to from time. That's why if I put this photo on, you will see aircrafts circling. That's exactly what they're doing. They are not
Hmm.
like confused and now what we're gonna do. No, they are extremely prepared for this scenario, and they just hang in on for the event to pass.
Hmm.
Either the rocket goes to its trajectory, or as in this case, something goes wrong and then they need to wait it out. So that's exactly what was going on. A lot of people were saying that the aircrafts were left on hold and blah, blah, blah. You need to know that in the US, there are temporary flight restrictions and TFRs and NOTAMs, mainly like events like when the president is traveling to certain areas, they issue these kind of things. And this can happen either immediately because the president must leave a place in an urgency, or pre planned, as we know. So, causes flight disruptions, or Super Bowl, or military training. there are all kinds of reasons why the air traffic controllers they might issue these kind of situations. So this is nothing new for pilots. The pilots knew exactly what was going on, and yeah, I heard that some flights had to land early or somewhere else or blah blah blah. That's not due to the fact that SpaceX or FAA done something wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't because of the emergency
Yep,
situation.
yep,
And just one more thing to add, that of course some theories came up that of course because of the spinning of the Starship, it could have left the trajectory, and that's why the corridor wasn't valid anymore, because it was going just left to the right, and the debris were just so diverted that it wasn't anymore important how narrow or how big corridor was already planned, because of the spinning, uh, the ship actually left its trajectory, and we of course we don't know the exact telemetry, but these theories thinks that it was much more dangerous because of the loss of the ship in this ascent phase. However, it was already in space, so it wasn't like at the height of the airliners or airplanes. Sorry, so it wasn't anymore about 10 or 12 kilometers high, but much more higher, about 140 kilometers. So that's why it's very important that, however, it was a corridor, or it was the debris. Sorry, the debris were just diverted, and they just fell off in a um, quite long and quite big area. It
right.
wasn't meaning then everything was in danger.
To be fair, okay, so this is I might be, and please tell us, chat, what you think, but I might be completely wrong. So this is the ship coming where my cursor is. Cursor is. So the ship is coming. The ship was actually quite close to engine shutdown,
Yeah,
because it was what it was already almost 22,000 kilometers per hour.
about
Yeah,
30 or 40 seconds were left, I think
yeah.
so.
So I'm sorry, but it was already heading towards its correct trajectory. So then it starts spinning. I cannot imagine that it goes so off that it completely leaves this corridor,
Yeah.
because it means that the contingency plan is crap. Because it means that the contingency plan is exactly there to cover every scenario, and that includes this is one of those scenarios when it just goes wrong,
Hmm.
right? So again, we will see the results. We don't know exactly that what's going on and how off it went, but and I know we know that Elon Musk is usually very optimistic about stuff. But why? But somebody pointed out that the fact that he already shared so much information publicly, and you don't need to look far away. Just look the early morning launch, BO. The Blue Origin. We still don't know what happened for the bloody first stage, right? Or we don't know
Yeah.
much. We know that FAA triggered the mishap as well, but we don't know much. And he already shared quite tons of details about the flight. So and he immediately said that he don't see the reason why uh, they should ground the Starship program for like months, and he don't see the cause for a long delay. So he doesn't. Hopefully, he doesn't just say that. He just knows that it didn't go that wrong. It's not ideal, but
Yes. Yeah, hopefully SpaceX will share some footages. O- I mean, cameras on the ship later, because after the flight three, even after flight three, they shared some footages, and we could see the spinning on the in the space already, and
mhm,
that's we hope now as well.
yeah,
And now then we could be more clever to see how the trajectory was changed, and how
yeah,
the angle of the ascending was changed eventually, because we can't be sure about it. because the ship could be just spinning on the long uh, axle
Axis.
axis. Sorry, thank you. So it doesn't mean then it was just fell off the trajectory. So it could have been still going just very going forward. So yeah, and yeah, that was maybe the most important confirmation or information from Elon about the failure. And yeah, that's why they just put thousands of camera, not cameras, but sensors on the ship, every parts of the ship, and they could already see what was going wrong.
Mhm.
And hopefully the optimism of Elon, it's not too much and not too big, because it seems to be not a big problem, and they could solve it quite easily for the next ships. And yeah, and one more important thing, that it was because of the Raptor 2 engines. So the ship 33, and I don't know until what, but until when, but maybe the 35 or 36 ship will use still the Raptor 2 engines. But after it, the Raptor 3 will come in, and they don't require any more heat shield. That's why the entire bottom side and the dome, so the oxygen tank dome, and the firewall and everything will be either gone or changing very much. And that's why we could be more confident in the Raptor 3 engine, and the entire uh, bottom section or aft section of the ship, that maybe this problem won't come again.
Let's just. I think we didn't say out loud that what exactly the problem was. So the tank,
Yes.
the tank was leaking, and basically that firewall you were mentioning is just shielding the engine somewhere here,
Yeah.
maybe higher. Let's just stick with this. So here, let's say it's leaking out the gas, and we could see here some fire, some flames. That was absolutely weird at the
Yeah,
flap. And
that's
look
the
at the middle
middle
hinge.
that's the middle hinge of the right aft flap.
Yep, yep. And as the gas was leaking out, leaking out, leaking out, it was filling this area, and it couldn't leave this section because of the firewall of the
Mhm.
engine, that shielding, actually, and it just built up so high, and the pressure just went so much up that eventually it exploded. So
Mhm.
everybody was quite rightly speculating that it was actually the FTS, the flight termination system, went off, but it looks like we don't know, and there's a huge chance that it blew up by itself. Still, I would say, okay, this was the result of blowing up, but the fact that it was leaking, you know, they they losing the inner the material in the tank, so they're losing oxygen and methane, mostly methane. Do you think that
Yeah.
it might have related to the new design?
Um,
Because
yeah.
it was.
Before I answer,
Yep.
just a quick information or speculation again, that it was
Hmm.
quite strange that the methane, the level level of the methane was
Yep.
just very it was just running out very fast compared to the oxygen level. And that's why it's strange, because that's the oxygen tank one we can see, and the dome of the oxygen tank above the Raptor engines. So that's why it's a bit strange that the methane level or the methane volume was decreasing much in a much higher volume as the oxygen. However, the oxygen tank seemed to be leaking. But yeah, I'm not a rocket scientist nor an
But this is
engineer, so
but this is where my question comes,
yeah,
that
okay.
is it because of the new design? Because the new
It can be.
design has now this new, well, this is, I don't know how confirmed this new design
Hmm.
theory, but they definitely do it differently compared to the previous ones, and probably because it was the methane leaking.
Hmm.
That's where I would go with that here something was
Yeah,
going
maybe
on
the
for
methane
one of these.
downcomer, one
Yeah,
of the pipes have been destroyed, or I don't
yeah,
know, but
yeah.
it can be that.
Yeah, because the problem was down at the bottom of the oxygen tank, but
Mhm.
weirdly they were losing methane in a
Yeah,
rapid pace.
yeah,
So, yeah, something is was going on, or probably both. God knows.
yeah. But
Very
anyway, it was
interesting.
a very big problem, and hopefully SpaceX can solve it quite easily,
We can say that.
and it won't delay the flight 8 too much. Rather,
Yeah,
rather the authority or the mishap investigation will take even more time
yeah,
than the preparations of the flight 8. I mean the hardware preparations, because both of the stages, so the ship 34 and booster 15, are already in different phases of the testing. So they have finished, both of the stages have finished their cryo testing, so the first test phase, and now they will get their raptors, and the static fires will come in the very near future, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We don't know, because I guess in case of the ship 34, SpaceX will require some implementations and changes, or so they will implement some changes. Sorry, so maybe they will take even more time to prepare everything. But in case of the booster, seems quite smooth. So maybe we can see the booster 15 has its static fire in the next, let's say, 2 weeks. But yeah, that's only my estimate. And rather the ship 34 preparation will take longer time.
I have a feeling that they can take their times.
Of course, yeah, it's all
um,
it's on them.
yeah, so the mishap is on. They need to find out what's going on. They need to ensure FAA that everything went well, everything was under control, despite it that doesn't look like. But they need to. I think that the big problem is that they need to find out the cause. They are very positive about it. They keep saying that we identified the problem. Probably they already did, so I'm not doubting their words. But they need to make sure that this won't occur again because it cannot happen again. That's for sure.
Yeah, because it's not big news, but or I guess we can agree all of us that the flight 8 won't be an orbital flight anymore. It was planned like that, but it was about the flight 7 outcome. But as we know, the ship 33 has been lost, so we can think that the flight 8 will be still a suborbital flight, and maybe it will actually repeat of the flight 7 to check everything, whether the implementations were correct. And yeah, actually, what as Elon mentioned, only a few things were out of the equalization. So only the pass dispenser wasn't tested, and the Raptor ignition wasn't tested, of course, because of prematurely loss of the ship. But all of the other things were tested, and as Elon mentioned, um, how did he write 5 5 8, the cups is full, or like that. So so the booster was 4 by 4 and the ship's trajectory was
One
one
fourth,
one
one fourth.
fourth. So that's in total 5 8.
Yeah, 5/8.
8,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, we were streaming it live, and I don't even want to hide the fact that I was really sad. Not just by I mean, obviously the booster did amazing, and on that side they really did a mega step forward. That's a huge thing. The 20-story building high booster was caught again for the second time, and even in the previous one the booster was ready. The obviously the tower wasn't. But yeah, the fact that with the with the fact that they were losing ship 33, we lost the chance for the orbital flight for Flight 8. And I think that's why we were so sad. Not just the fact that, because, I mean, they took off purposefully quite a few tiles, quite a huge amount of tiles from the heat shield. They were actually meant to really test the whole structure of the ship. And even if it's lost on the re-entry, I think nobody sheds a tear. Probably because it could have been controlled. If the deorbit burn was successful, then yeah, great. They're gonna look into the fact, the details, what went wrong with the re-entry, and they will, correct it for Flight 8. But with this, I mean, it's yeah, no information whatsoever about,
Mm.
no useful information about the block 2. So maybe some, but this is not really, I mean, it meant to do so many things in space, so many tests, and none of them happened. So yeah, it's a
Yeah,
bit saddening, but yeah,
yeah,
we've
we
been
can
spoiled.
we can be a bit disappointed, but yeah, it doesn't mean that the next flight can be only, let's say, in half year or so, because as we mentioned, the Flight 8 hardware are already under test. And yeah. Yeah, it just came in my mind that some of the guys, or the most critical guys, were just taking parallel, or they compared it with the Apollo program and the Saturn V performance, and they say, or their let's say,
I don't think we need to pay attention to the loud
okay,
minority.
but yeah, yeah, okay, then I don't finish the sentence. But
It's
yeah,
it's there are always
the
cuckoo
comparison, the
people.
two
Yeah,
programs couldn't be much
more
wronger,
different.
because
Yeah,
totally different
exactly.
approach, totally different goals, so totally
Mhm.
different um, development plans, development
Yeah,
base. So it couldn't be more different. So the
yeah.
Saturn V and the Starship.
Let's just think about it for a second. That as long as rocket business look like this, that you build the rockets, you fly them. The sole purpose of it is to take the payload to orbit to the right trajectory, and that's it. You deorbit the upper stage, the first stage fell, or whatever, how many stages it has and boosters. It just falls back to the ocean. Yeah, job done. You see, here is Blue Origin, and and they spent, I'm not saying 25 years because that would be an exaggeration, but they spent a lot
Let's
of,
say 10 years.
yeah, let's say 10 years for the New Glenn development. So now, on paper, they supposed to pull it off completely. And if you see the old way of building rockets, they actually did, because Blue Ring went to its planned trajectory, orbit. Sorry,
Yes.
um, job done. But landing, you cannot just do it on paper. It's much more tougher. When you start doing the reusability business, that's when it really becomes heavy. And it looks like that even though that they spent 10 careful years of designing it, they just couldn't do it for the okay, Neo fell off for the first time in Matrix as well. So if Neo is allowed, Blue Origin is allowed. but but what I'm trying to say is, probably, if you aim for reusability, then iterative design or development must be part of your plans, because it just doesn't work other way, because it's so difficult to do it, especially in a drone ship, especially with a
Yeah.
almost 59-meter tall booster. This is not just a small rocket, this is a mega big rocket. It's a
Mhm.
heavy rocket.
Yeah. And the other mistake of these critical voices, let's say that they say that how the customers don't care how the rocket is just developed and how it works. The most important thing, or main important thing, to send the payload to the orbit. but they don't think in this case at the price, because it of course it matters how if a rocket is reusable or not, because if it's reusable, then it will be much more cheaper to send it to the space again and again and again. And the expandable rockets are still very costly, and that's why the customers has to think about not only the launch, but the let's say the re-entry or returning phase of the rocket, because if the new Glenn could or won't be able to come back in, let's say, in 4 or 5 tests, then it will be a big trouble for Blue Origin, and they couldn't give or let's say, so they could not offer a smaller or a shorter price. So that's why it's very important, not only in case of the reusable rockets, the launching phase, but the returning phase as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
I hope it was you know what I mean.
The people will tell. I don't know how to say it now, I'm sorry. Customer, he says, or she, customer don't care if the rocket is reusable. They care about one, reliability, and two, cost. Yes. The fact is that since exactly, and Yarai Sabi is pointing out that, and point two is why it has to be reusable.
That's what I tried to explain. That's the exactly what I tried to explain, but maybe then it wasn't too clear.
Yeah, no, this is it. So there is a reason why Blue Origin is going towards reusability as well, and
Yeah.
every sane rocket company and space agency is heading towards that direction. And I feel sorry that I think now actually European Space Agency is now supporting a private company, right? Who's planning to do reusability. I forgot the name of it. I should, but
Sorry, who?
is it Rocket? The European Space Agency is supporting a small rocket company. Is it
Rocket
Rocket
Factory Augsburg?
Augsburg? Is it
Hmm?
the
Yeah.
one that's
Or
gonna
the
do
PLD
reusable?
Space Systems, the Spanish guys.
Yeah, because obviously we've been banging on about the fact that the Ariane 6 is already an obsolete rocket and is just getting being introduced to the market. I'm sure it's gonna do amazing job, but how on earth can it really um, have a chance, stand the chance against the reusable rockets? Um, it's beyond me. It's yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, Flight 7 was absolutely filled with mixed emotions, and we don't know when Flight 8 is going to happen. I think we can just sit back and just wait it out, just like those airplanes waiting for the debris to clear off. So yeah, this is what we're gonna do now, and follow how the preparation work is proceeding
Yeah,
regarding to
full
ship
steam forward, as we can see.
34 and booster 15. So yeah, we will see. Definitely we will be back next week.
Mhm.
We are going to cover some of these topics. This is gonna be the goodbye picture. Um, some debris collectors are already making, I'm sure, some huge money. Um, yeah. Anyway, heat tile collection. Um, we are definitely coming back next week, and I hope that many of you will come back as well. If you're not following this channel, please subscribe to this channel. A like can go a very long way. Also, follow the main channel. What about it? Hopefully, I don't need to introduce that channel to you. The episodes are coming every Tuesdays and Fridays. Yeah, and if you can, definitely try to support this What About It family, because they are doing awesome work. The real coverage is and the community is great, and obviously Felix is bringing us the best and most updated information. Yeah, we will be back next Monday. Hope you will be back too. Be like Arnie, okay? Just be back. All right. Okay. Have a lovely week. Enjoy the rest of Monday and the rest of your week, and we'll be back on Monday.
Take care, guys, and see you next Monday.
Yeah. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.